Am I the asshole for not letting my in-laws into our home because that's what brother-in-law wanted? My brother-in-law Jason is 20 and 2 years ago he was in an accident that left him paralyzed. He's bound to a wheelchair and barely has any hand mobility, so he needs help with pretty much everything. My wife's parents were hit hard by this and struggled with the pressure of taking care of him. Even though he receives benefits and compensation, in-laws couldn't handle all the doctor's appointments, physical therapy sessions, and constantly caring for him. In the end, Jason came to live with us. Her parents claimed they just needed a few weeks to take a break from caring for him. A few weeks turned into months until he stayed with us permanently. There was a lot of conflict over this. We couldn't believe they'd just stop coming to see him altogether when he was already in a dark place and adjusting to these permanent life changes. We didn't speak with them for a long time. It was difficult to adjust at first, but we're glad he's here with us. Before COVID we had a care provider stay with him while we were at work, but now that we're home majority of the time we just take turns. He and I have gotten very close, so we've had many talks about his feelings. I know how hard this is for him and how much it hurt when my in-laws pulled out of his life. We haven't had any contact with them at all in over a year. Well, as it turns out, they want to see him again. My wife told me this could be the chance to finally get the family back together and to make amends. She's talked this over with Jason, but he wants nothing to do with them. He's made it clear he doesn't want to see them, but she insists it's important they all talk. Today they showed up unexpectedly when my wife was out. Jason was in the other room and apparently they arranged this meeting today with my wife but got there earlier than the agreed time. They just wanted to have a sit down with Jason, but I didn't let them set foot in the house. Honestly, my anger got the best of me and I shut the door on them when they wouldn't leave. I told Jason they were here, he didn't want to speak with them. They left after 10 minutes. When my wife got home she was furious. She knows what they did was bad, but this was the chance to make it better, and Jason doesn't know what's best for himself because he's still upset about what they did. We went back and forth on this. She said closing the door on them and refusing to let them see Jason was an asshole move, but I feel his wishes should be respected. However, she says his feelings on this are obviously clouded because of what happened and I prevented him from reconnecting with them in order to move on from the pain. So I'm not sure, was I an asshole here? Not the asshole. Your brother-in-law absolutely does know what's best for his own emotional well-being. He shouldn't be forced to clear the air until he wants to do so. Not the asshole is someone with mobility issues from a spinal injury and headed for a wheelchair. I would be horrified by being trapped in that situation if no one listened to me. You did Jason a solid here by respecting his wishes. It's not like he could just leave. They wanted a captive audience, regardless of him and his feelings. It's completely disrespectful. Not the asshole. It seems like out of everyone you are the only one who actually cares about Jason and his feelings. Everyone else just wants what's best for themselves, including your wife. I understand she wants her family back together, but this is not the way to do that. Her parents made their choice and now they must live with the consequences. It's understandable that they couldn't take care of him, obviously being elderly, but to completely stop seeing him after a life-altering accident, they are assholes for that. If Jason chooses to never see them, that is his choice, not theirs, and certainly not your wife. She's being completely selfish. Jason is lucky to have you in his corner. I think you made the right choice to slam the door on them. Now they know how it feels to shut someone off. Not the asshole. Your wife sure is, though. She tried to force a come-to-Jesus talk on her adult brother. One where he would literally be a captive audience. No. She does not know better, she does not get the final say, and she needs to knock it off with her overblown sense entitlement to make such big decisions for others. If and when Jason is ready to have a conversation with his parents, he will decide when. Not his meddling flying monkey sister. You, sir, are the hero we all need. Not the asshole. For context, I had a stroke 11 years ago in my 20s. I fought hard to keep my independence, and I'd be devastated if my agency was ignored by my husband the way your wife ignored her brothers. Your wife is the one I'm angriest at here. His parents are sucky and I'd cut them from my life for good. Your wife's betrayal is more insidious. His agency still matters and is not conditional to his sister approving of his choices. Your brother-in-law doesn't deserve to be treated like his wishes don't matter. He said no. No one else gets to decide for him. Thanks for being a great Bill. Edited. Thanks for my awards, friends. First time for everything. Not the asshole. I can understand needing a break from taking care of someone who needs that level of assistance. Regardless, they should have never just stopped visiting, and they shouldn't have just pawned him off on you like that. If taking care of them was too much for them, they should have been honest about it from the beginning. And now they want a relationship with him. A year later. He is a grown man. His body was injured, not his mind. He says he does not want a relationship with them. They should respect his wishes. It sounds like his parents and your wife will not let it go and will try something like this again when you're not home. He should be prepared for something like this to happen. Hopefully they don't do that, but who knows. I always believe hope for the best, plan for the worst. Not the asshole. Your wife is massively overstepping the mark. Her brother may be physically disabled, but if he has an opinion, it needs to be respected. This is ableist and plain wrong. What next? Will she shove food in his mouth if he tells her he's not hungry? The in-laws can write a letter that your sister can read to him, but barging in after being repeatedly told no is not okay. Not the asshole. Your wife doesn't get to decide for him. She needs to listen to him and follow his lead. It's quite disrespectful and rude to decide she knows what's better for his relationship with his parents. Not the asshole. Why are they trying to manipulate Jason and you that it's in Jason's best interest to make up with his parents? He is an adult and has been hurt physically and emotionally due to the accident, and then the parents just abandon him. He can't trust them anymore. Your wife and her parents are the asshole. They need to leave poor Jason alone and not make his life more miserable. The parents act privileged and need to be put back in place. Not the asshole. If Jason doesn't want to talk with them, or see them, there's a good chance that the talk your in-laws won't lead to anything good. Your wife should, instead of deciding when Jason talked to his parents, talk with Jason about what needs to change for him to hear them out. I get he's mad. It was a asshole move to just abandon him, in lack of better word. He may be paralyzed, but he has the right to refuse to see them. Your wife needs to understand this. Not the asshole. Your wife should not have removed BIL's already limited agency by trying to create a situation where he would be forced to interact with the parents, who he clearly does not want to interact with. Not the asshole. Imagine abandoning your child because their mobility issues are difficult for you when you're not the one who's had a life-changing accident. And then feeling entitled to a second audience with that child because you're his parents, and dismissing his pain over abandonment and lack of contact because he should just get over it so they can all be one big happy family again. Your brother-in-law isn't destroying the family unit. Your Mill and Phil did that when they decided they just needed a little break from the small thing that is their son's life. Not the asshole. Whereas your wife, isn't she the king-sized asshole? She knows what they did was bad, but this was the chance to make it better, and Jason doesn't know what's best for himself because he's still upset about what they did. Jason is a grown man who may be physically disabled, but his mind is not, and he is perfectly capable of knowing what is best for him. By disregarding his wishes, she is treating him like a child. She is not wanting to make the peace for Jason. She's selfishly trying to create a reconciliation for herself so she has a complete family again despite the hurt and pain this will cause Jason. I would show her this thread, so she can see outside views of the situation and that she is truly the asshole. Not the asshole. Bill said he didn't want to see them. His wishes are what matter and his opinion on the situation is clear. If he wanted to see them, it would be on his terms and no one else's. Not the asshole. If Jason wants to speak to his parents, he gets to decide when and where, not your wife. Jason will meet plenty of people throughout his life, who thinks they can make decisions on his behalf simply due to his disability. His sister shouldn't be one of them. Not the asshole. Your wife is acting like one. But I am wondering, could it be she's tired of her sibling and taking care of them, so she was hoping a reunion meant parents could take over again? And she's minimizing what parents did because she wants to do the same? Your wife wants to give him back. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, but maybe have a serious talk with your wife about how she feels. Taking care of someone can be a taxing act. Her mental health might be suffering and she's trying to hide it from you. She might be at the breaking point and needs a break herself. Not the asshole. Your brother-in-law has a spinal injury, and from what you've written doesn't have any cognitive issues from the accident, so he can 100% make his own decisions with his bodily autonomy and who he wants to see or not see. Your wife might want the family back together again, but is completely disregarding what her brother wants and is essentially treating him like a child who can't decide anything, which is only going to make him feel worse mentally when he has already been forced to give up control over so many things. NTA. He is still a person and your wife doesn't get to decide who he wants to see. Tell your wife to put herself in his shoes. How would she feel, being abandoned by her parents? Nah. It's entirely possible that your wife is close to burning out due to taking care of her brother, having him in your space for this long non-stop, and may want a quick resolution to the family drama so the care can be more evenly spread out again. I think you need to prioritize family counseling and plan some sort of just you and wife time away from brother-in-law and your in-laws. Not the asshole. Your wife is acting like a monster. I understand she just wants her family together, but she's literally trying to force her disabled brother to see these people who he does not want to see. That's abusive as fuck. You are not the asshole, but your wife and her parents are. You are totally right to have your BILs back. I would be really concerned about the possibility of your wife trying to pull a visit sometime when you are not there. Your brother-in-law set his boundary and your wife and her parents are willing to stomp all over them. You might want to install a Ring camera on your front door with notifications going to your cell phone. That way, if your wife tries to pull a fast one on you, you will know it. Your wife does not have the right to dictate to her brother how he should feel. He has lost a lot and, at a minimum, his wishes should be respected. The time may come when he might willing to talk to his parents, but that is up to him to determine it. Not the asshole. You did the right thing. He is the one most hurt by their actions and he didn't want to see them. Your wife had no right to force them on him like that. Of course his feelings are fucking clouded by what happened. It's not something you forget or get over easily. I would be devastated in his position and wouldn't want to see them. Your wife is an A. Not the asshole. You are awesome. Keep up the good work defending your BIL's right to decide who he associates with. I work as an advocate for disabled people and it's emotionally devastating for them to be ignored or treated like their wishes don't matter. They all need someone like you on their side. Kudos. Not the asshole. Sounds like your brother-in-law has very little control over his life, which is why it's especially bad to override decisions he can make. Your wife owes him an apology for treating him like a child. Not the asshole. He is allowed to make his own decisions. Not the asshole. You did the right thing. She sounds like she's treating him like a toddler rather than a 20-year-old man who has full cognitive abilities. He's paralyzed, doesn't mean he lost his brain power. He can make his own decisions. Good for you for backing him up. Not the asshole. Better to make a meeting somewhere more public. Not the asshole. Your wife is a major awe. Jason already has lost control of so much and her trying to overrule his decision because it's what she wants is asshole move. She needs to respect Jason's decision. Reading what she planned on doing to him makes me so angry. Not the asshole. It takes both sides to be on board to have a reconciliation. Your wife's family seems to be ignoring this simple fact and think that they can force their way to a reconciliation regardless of what Jason thinks or feels about it. You appear to be the only person who thinks Jason's opinions are worth taking into account and who's willing to stand up for him. Jason will decide if and when he's ready to reconnect with his parents, and trying to force it when he's still so hurt and angry will likely only make things worse. How dare she decide for him when he should forgive them? That is so invalidating of everything he went through. She doesn't get to decide when to rug sweep their abhorrent behavior. If she wants a relationship with them, then she can have one outside of the home. She doesn't get to plan an ambush on a guy who literally can't escape. She needs to let him keep control of the very few independent choices he still gets to make. I am so outraged at your wife. You 100% did the right thing in protecting this vulnerable man from the people who neglected him. Not the asshole. Tell the wife if she tries this again then she can go live with her parents for a while. Not the asshole. You are a great brother-in-law. Your wife needs to realize how wrong she was for trying to force him to see his parents. It was not her right to do that. How would she like to be strapped to a chair and forced to sit with people she doesn't want to talk to? He has no way to leave. I would see if there are any agencies in your area that can help you. He needs a legal advocate to stand up for his rights. Maybe try. So your wife is completely invalidating his feelings about her parents abandoning him? She sounds incredibly compassionate and respectful. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your wife is definitely the asshole for disregarding her brother's wishes. Good for you for standing up for him when his own sister wouldn't. Edit. A word. Not the asshole. He gets to decide when or if he wants contact, not your wife and not them. You respected what he wanted and they all decided to ambush him like it was going to work out great if only they could trap him into a room and make him listen. Not the asshole, and that's incredibly cruel to your BIL. His paralysis means he can't leave, so if you did let them in, he would be forced to interact with them. That's awful. Not the asshole. She knows what they did was bad, but this was the chance to make it better, and Jason doesn't know what's best for himself because he's still upset about what they did. However, she says his feelings on this are obviously clouded because of what happened and I prevented him from reconnecting. Those are your wife's opinions, but it's not her decision to make. The decision to reconnect rests with Jason alone. Any chance that your wife is providing most of the actual care for your brother? I feel like OP's wife is trying to control what she thinks is what Jason wants. Jason knows for a fact that his family abandoned him. I feel sorry for you, OP and Jason. Edit. Also massive NTA. You are the only one in this that has any regard for Jason's feelings. You're a good brother-in-law to Jason. Not the asshole. Your wife is patronizing and infantilizing her brother. He's a grown man who knows what's best for his mental well-being and has clearly expressed his wishes. How dare she assume she knows better? This whole idea is awful. She knows he couldn't walk out if he wanted to leave the discussion, so she's trying to force him to do something he doesn't want to do. Terrible behavior from her. I'm glad your brother-in-law has you to have his back. Not the asshole. It's clear you are a very caring and considerate BIL, and you absolutely did the right thing. You wife and her parents. They're the A's. However, I would ask that you would stop using the phrase, wheelchair-bound, and alter it to, wheelchair user. Most wheelchair users feel the phrase, wheelchair-bound, is ableist, as it makes it sound like the wheelchair is something that holds them back, rather than gives them mobility and freedom they would otherwise lack. I myself am not disabled, so I don't feel comfortable going more in detail, but I hope you'll hear from actual people with disabilities, and to take them into consideration. Not the asshole. If he could get up and walk out if he wanted to, that would be one thing. However, he can't, so his wishes must be respected. Your wife can go and see her parents if she wants. She can't use Jason's disability to steamroller him. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your wife Ta. On a side note, you should also tell your wife about your feelings towards the in-laws. It's not just your bro-in-law they need to apologize to. Your wife sounds like a real peach. Not the asshole. He's paralyzed. Not stupid. He's a grown man who very much understands that his parents abandoned him in his time of need. Even if they couldn't keep up with the physical aspect of his care, to just leave him emotionally abandoned? To walk away and wipe your hands clean? I doubt there is coming back from this. Your wife needs to understand that her brother is very well aware of what they did and his wishes and wants when it comes to them comes before hers. Not the asshole. He's lost enough control over his life. Your wife and his parents need to respect the adult he is. You are not the asshole. Your wife is Ta. She does not get to decide what his feelings on the matter are. Good on you, mate, for sticking up for your BIL. He's paralyzed, not brain dead. Your brother-in-law know damn well what he wants. Not the asshole.